I was listening to a video by an Irish priest called Father Brendan Kilcoyne. You can find it on Immaculata Productions. I'm going to give you the link to the video below. And just get me the title here. He's entitled the video "Sympathy for the Devil." The devil only wants to deprive souls from God, and it's a fascinating video that Father is talking about the spiritual battle. Do Catholics really believe we are in a spiritual battle? Do Catholics really believe the extent of what is at stake here with the faith, especially priests who go forward to battle spiritually? Sometimes they have no idea the enemy that they will face. And towards the end of that video, there was this incredible storm. You can actually listen to that video. I just thought, wow, nobody could have scripted that video at a better time than Father. I was just, as the video started, I was wondering, God, did they change the microphone? And by the way, thanks to Peter McNamara from Limerick, who sent me this microphone up. Now I've got something with a better audio. I was just saying, did they change the microphone? What is going on there? And you could see, as Father was talking about this topic, which, a lot of people don't want to talk about in the church, you could see the storm growing. And at the end of it, the downpour of rain. It was like this torrential. You can hear it in the video. I just listen to it. I'll put the link to it below. It was like God sending a message. Do Catholics believe in the spiritual battle? Do Catholics believe that hell and heaven actually exist as realities? Do Catholics believe we have a free will? You can choose one or the other. It's quite amazing to see what has gone on in the Catholic Church in the last number of years. And we're just going to put two photos here from 2019, before the pandemic. Just put two photos. So the first photo I'm going to put here, look, this is a photo. We went to a mass, which was one of those rainbow masses. You can see what's behind the altar. They replaced the cross with multicolored stuff. I didn't know it was going to be like that before I went, obviously. But I was landed in, obviously, the Novus Ordo, which, and so that's the first photo. Here's the second photo from the first Mass in Institute of Christ the King in Belfast, same year. We are looking at, and anybody that doesn't realise this is blind, we are looking at two different churches, two different faiths, two different ways of practicing and teaching the faith, two different gospels, two different Bibles. And people were saying, no, Robert, you're totally wrong there. There's not two different Bibles in the church. Don't go making stuff up. Where did you get that out of? Have you spoken to any proper theologians lately? What theological formation do you have, Robert? Blah, blah, blah. As regards the two different Bibles, if you look at the Novus Ordo, and you can see Matthew Hazel publishes daily the different readings in the Novus Ordo, you have them taking, they'll do a reading, they'll omit a few verses, go on to another verse. Why would you do that? Why would you design your lectionary in that way? Why don't you give us the full fat Bible? If you're going to give a reading, just give the reading from the Bible. Don't pick and choose what you sentimentally feel is nice and leave out, and they all went off and got slaughtered or something like that. It seems very interesting to see what, as we study what has gone on, as we see this, who designed this Mass? Who was the person? Who was the driving force behind the design of the Mass? The Novus Ordo. It's interesting to see what has gone on in the last couple of years. We have two different churches. In one church, the Mass is performed to us. And some people will perform it very reverently with a lot of love. Christ is actually present there on the altar. It's the same Eucharist. But in one Mass, it's performed to us. And in another Mass, the sacrifice is offered to the Father. It's it's offered to him. It's literally the whole church is facing in one direction. In one church, the mass can be, it's a performance. There's a stage, and then there's the audience, and there's back and forth, and people are performing an action to us, and the priest has to make it interesting, and so on and so forth. And the other mass, it's directed towards Christ, towards the divine. It's oriented. It's towards the Orient. It's towards the East. And I mean, I suppose if you're not moving between those two worlds, it's very hard to understand actually what has gone on in the church. And there's a whole reason why, for example, at the moment you can have the rainbow masses around the world, but you can have rainbow masses, grow them, extend them, invite them out, but you can't have a traditional Latin mass. You can't grow that community. How long will this dysfunction go on? And if this is where the church is moving, tell us. Come out and say, yes, this is where we're moving. This is what we want. A man-centered form of worship that is inclusive to everybody. We've seemed to have gone to so many margins now. We've forgotten about those who are in the church, who seem to have left, and there are millions and there are millions and millions all around the world. We'll go out to the margins and we'll hollow the center. It's like an empty coconut. I don't know. I'm asking the questions. Is it just me that's seeing this, or is there something else? Where is the spiritual battle? Where are those talking about the spiritual battle? Where are the priests entering an army to battle together? And today, priests don't battle in an army. They're all alone. They're all, so many are living alone. They face their own problems. They battle things alone. They live alone. I mean, I could never live like that. I could never live, go home after work and spend my whole evening alone with no help, nobody to talk to. Some priests would get support and others won't. Christ didn't call us to be lonely. Christ didn't call us to live as hermits. If you want to live as a hermit, off you go. It's a valid tradition in the church. But even Saint Benedict, he wasn't advising it for certainly not young men. 20, 30, 40-year-old men living as hermits. It's not going to work, guys. It's not going to work. You have to understand what the spiritual battle is, and you have to understand you need an army to fight it. But it's amazing to see what's going on in the church when you have the two armies at war with each other, and the army that is facing the Orient and the that is facing the West. Two armies coming together with, we see this playing out in the church. I don't know where this will end up, but I do think objectively you cannot argue with me when I say the Novus Ordo has rewritten the Bible for itself. It's simply a fact if you read through it. A mission is the same as rewriting it. Why would you do that? What's the reason behind that? You can go through all of the different. What's the purpose? We'll pick and mix what we fancy from the Bible for our mass. I don't know. Maybe could somebody point that out? That wasn't done in the Vetus Order, in the traditional Latin mass, as far as I'm aware. But I mean, somebody can correct me. We've made the mass about, we can make it a rainbow mass. Look, we're going to have a rainbow mass and everybody's invited and we're all going to have a celebration. I mean, lots of other places do that a lot better. If you want to be included in a community, there's lots of them out there. What is the truth that we're supposed to align our lives to? What does the church stand for? I find it very, very incredible to see what's going on in the church at the moment. Incredibly, when you see, for example, the Monastère Saint-Benoît in Toulon, Dom Alison Reid, who was invited to that diocese by Bishop Bray, who had a letter of good standing from the Archdiocese of Melbourne, who had been, they've had several visitations, he had been vetted and so forth, and yet they wouldn't ordain him. After having several, independent visitations recommending that he would be ordained. Why is this confusion happening in the church? Where, on the other hand, we are continuing to ordain priests that shouldn't be ordained. We're continuing to allow the rainbow masses. We've seen it in Chicago last weekend. We've seen it in Bologna. That mass was specifically organized and approved by Cardinal Zuppi. There's no doubt about it. And it's not just there, it's elsewhere as well. And that's okay. If this is where the church is moving, tell us. But the stealth change, do you know what? It's complicated, Robert. We're going to the margins now, don't take the Bible literally. They meant it. It was meant for a different era and different time. Today we're more advanced and we think of things differently. And today, if people want to rent wombs to have their babies, it's different, Robert. You have to understand the world has changed and it's a different faith. We have a completely opposite, different faith in practice in the Catholic Church. Anybody that can't see this is blind or living in their own echo chamber. I get accused of that. You're living in an echo chamber. You're doing. I will go to charismatic masses. I will go to. As I said, I've been to that rainbow mass. Didn't know it was going to happen. I've been to the traditional Latin mass. So I am open. I'm just saying, you go to one, and it is completely opposite faith being taught. Completely opposite. It's a Christless, crossless mass, a performance to us, without the sacred, without even a mention of Christ, practically. It's rote. It's devoid of sanctifying grace. It doesn't lead people to encounter Christ in the Eucharist because, we no longer preach or teach about confession or talk about what is the state of grace, or it's simply the fact, guys. Simply the fact. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts below. What do you think? Because I think we need to have an honest discussion about what has gone on in the Catholic Church and what has gone on in the Catholic faith. Why do the majority of Catholics no longer believe in the message of Christ? We seem to have, eclipsed it completely. In my view, anyway. Anyway, God bless. It's Tuesday evening here. I just thought I'd share that. Do go and look at Father Brendan Kilgoyne's video. I thought it was very, very interesting how the message and the cosmos collided together with that message. You couldn't have invented it. The greatest win of our age in the church is to convince people that hell and the devil don't exist, because we don't talk about them. Everybody goes to heaven these days. It's amazing. There's no effort needed. The spiritual battle has been won. We now live in the utopia where spiritual battle is no. And sure, look. Is it? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. God bless. Take care. Bye bye.